Hey guys, how are you doing? This is a really good lecture I want to do for you guys who are on the program. Welcome back. I want to start you off with another metaphor, another story of just how things are and how they work, okay? Because I want you to really understand this because, well, two stories, because it's crucial to your success, all right? The first thing I want to tell you is say that you come to me and you don't have a car, okay? You don't know how to operate a car, you don't know how cars work, but you know that having a car is easier than walking. So you come to me and you tell me, hey, you live in the eastern part of the United States and you want to travel maybe 200 or 300 miles west, all right? And you know that if you can make it 200 or 300 miles west, you will know beyond a doubt, you'll find all the gold you'll need. Your life is going to be just amazingly beautiful, amazingly awesome, okay? And everyone you know who goes out west and has this amazing time, they just have more money, and they use their cars. They have amazing cars. So they all use their cars to drive them out west. And you're like, wow, this is amazing. These people are using their cars. They're going out west. They're getting rich. So you come to me and you're like, hey, listen, Talmadge, I need to go out west, but I cannot figure out how to use my car. For the longest time, I try to get the car to work. It's just not going to work. It doesn't work for me. That's why I'm not successful. Talmadge, will you please show me how to use my car properly so that I can go out west, all right? And I'm like, okay, let me show you how to use your car, all right? So I tell you, I look around the car and I tell you, well, first of all, you have to put gas in the car, all right? And second of all, you have to have a destination. You have to have a GPS. You got to program it in your car, put it in your map so you know where to go. And that's your problem. That's the only thing you need to do. And then what would it be like if you were to look at me and you were to say, well, I don't want to put gas in my car. I just don't feel like putting gas in my car. Well, is there any way I can do this without putting gas in my car? Is there any way I can actually drive out west without putting gas in my car? I'd be like, no, you can't. You can't. Well, is there any way I can go out west without actually having like a map, like without actually mapping out the route? Is there any way I can go out west without mapping out the route and without actually using a GPS? And I'd be like, no, you can't. Does not sound crazy to you? Well, quite often the advice I'm about to give you, people give me the same reaction, all right? I didn't invent how the car works, all right? I did not create a car and say, hey, this car, it must have gas and this is how it must work. I didn't create the car. I'm just telling you how it works, okay? I'm gonna tell you how your mind works, all right? And remember, I didn't create the human mind, all right? I'm just telling you how it works. Whether or not you want to put gas in it and put the GPS, that's on you, okay? The mind, the version of gas for the mind is something that you must write down on your paper. You must have a clearly defined goal, and you get a pen and paper down if you haven't done this already, and you must write it down very clearly, and you must read it once in the morning, first thing in the morning, and you must read it last thing before going to bed. You must read it with enthusiasm, and you must read it with encouragement. You must do this daily until your goal is activated. This is the first thing you have to do. The reason you have to do this is because your mind needs a destination. You have to route out how you're going to get there. You need to know. And the subconscious needs to know first thing in the morning, first thing at night, this is what you need to do. When you get up first thing in the morning, the first thing in the morning, don't put fucking Jerry Springer in your mind. Don't put email in your mind. Don't watch, don't go on freaking Facebook, because you're programming your mind for stupidity. You're saying the GPS, go to the dumb land. That's what you want to do, all right? If the first thing in your mind, you pop in you read your goals, specifically, that tells your subconscious, this is my goal and this is my destination and this is where you're going to take us. It's like, think of it as a road trip, all right? If you're on a road trip for 5 days, all right, and you put your destination in the GPS, each day that you get up, right, you make sure that the car still has that destination, it still knows where it's going, right? You don't stay on the road trip for 2 days and all of a sudden erase your GPS and type in a completely different destination. That's not how it works, because otherwise you're going to end up somewhere different. This is very important for you to understand, because most people think it's so easy that they don't acknowledge it. And that's another issue we're going to bring up in another lecture, right? You must read the goal first thing in the morning, last thing before you go to bed. There's no exceptions. Like, there's no exceptions to not putting gas in the car. There are no exceptions. It just doesn't work, all right? You can't skip it. You can't decide you don't want to do it. This is just how the mind works. You have to do this, all right? Now, number two, which is very, very important, is this is really critical, all right? You need to imagine for a half an hour a day, at least for 3 days in a row, no exception, you have to imagine yourself having your goal fulfilled. This is very important, all right? You cannot skip a day, all right? You imagining for a half an hour a day adds that fuel, that robust fuel, that gasoline into your car so that it has the energy, it has the drive to know where you want to go. I don't know why you have to do this. There's tons of theories from metaphysics to energy to psychoanalysis. I could give you 10 different theories of why this is effective, but that's not the point. The point is you came to me to tell you how to use your car. You did not come to me for a lecture on combustion and auto mechanics and physics. You came to me how to use the damn car, all right? You need to imagine it. You need to visualize it 30 minutes a day for the first 3 days, and at least bare minimum 10 minutes a day, every day until your goal is accomplished. And you need to imagine it as if it's already happened. Now, a lot of people, a lot of gurus out there, I'm not a guru, I'm just a guy with experience trying to help you. They'll tell you, like, they'll all get all into this detail about imagining. They'll call it manifesting and visualization and blah, 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 all right? Just keep it simple, all right? But I don't like using those words because then people get all complicated. They get all scared, like, well, how do I do this? How do I manifest? How do I visualize, all right? Well, you've been doing it your whole life. Literally your whole life you've been doing this. As a child, it's called imagination, imagining. When you were a child and you imagined you were a pirate, when you were a child, when you imagined that you were a cowboy, or when you were a soldier, you just imagine. All you have to do is just lose yourself in the imagination. How you imagine, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Just imagine. Stop making it overly complicated. Do what you did when you were a little kid. If you start to figure out, like, how do I do this? Remember when you were a little kid and you imagined that you were a ninja, or maybe that was just me. Anyways, and you just imagined, and that was it for a half an hour, right? You do the same thing. Just imagine that you have your goal accomplished. Imagine what that feels like as it's accomplished, all right? And do it consistently, because when you consistently do it, it builds up momentum. This is really important to you. I can't convey to you how important this is. It's important. The imagining at least every day, 30 minutes a day for 3 days, and then 10 minutes a day, bare minimum. If you want to do 30 minutes a day, even great. And then having your destination that you read in the morning and at night. This is as critical, the critical equivalent to putting gas in the car and to mapping out a destination. That's it. That's how equivalent it is. There's no negotiation. There's no talking about it. I mean, you could argue that you can have an electric car or a teleporter or whatever. I'm just telling you how to use your car. And your car right now is your mind. Your mind is going to get you to the destination that you want to get it to. Does that make any sense to you? Now, another thing I want to bring up is very, very important. If you could check out a book by Perry Marshall, I believe it's the 80-20 rule or 20-80 rule. I'll put a link below. Now, this is really important because it really opened up my eyes to a lot of things. A lot of things that we're taught in life, we're taught the incorrect knowledge of it, we're taught the incorrect basis of it. You got to understand that 20% of everything that you do is actually responsible for 80% of your results. 20% is responsible for 80% of what you do. So 20% of everything in your life goes that way. It's a really amazing book. I recommend you check it out. The point I'm trying to make is that this visualization and the reading once in the morning and once at night, and possibly if you can do it during the whole day, this applies to the 20-80 rule. This little 20% thing that you do daily is actually going to be responsible for 80% of your success rate. And a lot of people can't comprehend that because we've been conditioned by society so that we can become slaves, so that we never actually know the correct way to use our minds. We never actually understand how reality works. The whole law of averages, the whole statistics thing is completely bunk. It's just another myth. I really recommend you check out the 80-20 rule. That's how the statistics really work. 20% of what you do is responsible for 80% of your results. 20% of people own 80% of the wealth. Some could even be like 1% own 99%. 80% of the people use 20% of the highways. 20% of the highways are used by 80% of the people. Anywhere you go, this rule is in nature, it's everywhere, all right? And this rule applies to you controlling your life and money. And a lot of people, we've been conditioned that things have to be so hard. Literally, if you're having a problem putting gas in the car and programming your GPS, and you really need to question yourself and you need to ask why you're having a problem with this and why you're having a problem accepting it, chances are it's because of conditioning, that you've been conditioned that work and change has to be hard. Now, I didn't say it's not challenging. Challenging helps you grow. Challenging helps you expand as a human being. Challenging is different from hard, all right? It doesn't have to be hard. It doesn't have to be backbreaking. You don't have to kill yourself to get to your destination. You just need to put gas in the car, and you need to make sure first thing in the morning, last thing at night. There are no exceptions to this rule. There are no exceptions. It's not second thing in the morning. It's not the third thing in the morning. It's not the second to the last thing at night. It's not the third to the last thing at night. It is the first thing in the morning, last thing at night. That is it. That is how you operate your car. Now that you have this knowledge and you want to do it, if you want to live in denial that your car doesn't need gas, that's up to you. If you want to live in denial that your car, that you don't need to map out a destination to get somewhere, that is on you. I'm just telling you how the car works. Anyways, I hope you find this lecture interesting. This lecture is included in my Wealth Omega course. However, I also wanted to include it for you guys because I think it's really important, and even if you guys don't take the course, I think it will really do you good. For those of you who are currently in the course, please use this knowledge that I've given to you. Apply it now to your goals, read them daily. First thing in the morning, first thing at night, and start imagining it. You'll also be using the MP3s I gave you to clear the subconscious blocks. Anyways, guys, thank you for your time, and I hope you guys have a great weekend. Thanks.